everyone, this is G and I'm back with a new video. I hope you're well. I've seen that I've gotten a few new subscribers, so to those who are new, thank you. I hope that you continue to enjoy the content. For those who have been here for a while, thank you. I hope that you continue to enjoy the content. I hope that everybody's doing well, and if you're not doing well, I hope that things get better for you. I know that it's a very stressful time for a lot of us for a variety of reasons, but if humans are one thing, we are collectively resilient, and I believe that we will get through this. We got through the Black Plague, we've gotten through wars, we got through polio. We will get through this. It won't be easy, but we'll make it. The human spirit is incredibly strong, especially when it's united in something, so just keep that in mind. We're going to get through it. So, what I wanted to focus on today was actually a comment that I just saw on my I am done with NetherRealm Studios MK11 video. Now, I'm going to keep my word, and like I said, I'm not going to do videos on Mortal Kombat 11, at least for the foreseeable future. But given that the video is up, of course, I will respond to comments when I find them interesting and a potential talking point. Right? My vow to not cover modern Midway does not mean that I cannot address what people say in my own comment section. Alright, so I want to read the comment exchange here that gave birth to this video. And I want to be clear that I'm not shaming anybody in this video. I'm not reading these comments to shame people or to call them out. People are entitled to their opinions. I just found that one person's comment got me thinking. And when I start thinking, I think, well, let me share my thoughts with the audience. So, here's the exchange. And remember, this is not to shame anyone. Everyone's entitled to their own opinions, so long as those opinions are honest. So this isn't meant to shame or call out anybody. I'm just reading it so that people know the context. So, Little Sweetheart 141 wrote, I remembered someone saying that Mortal Kombat was never about sex appeal. That's true, but the sex appeal came with it. Sonya was played by a model in 1 and 2. When I was looking up Melina in the wiki, there's a pic from Playboy with her tits exposed but her size covered the nipples, so it was always there. And I found it ironic that while MK11 turned down the sexiness, Sindel, character from I know even in the reboot was never like this, is a thought in the game. They wanted the female characters to be respected, but they turned the most powerful female character into a gold-digging whore and pulled a double standard with a military man and his daughter through their endings. Edit. Also, apparently women co-workers were yelled at more during the production. To which I responded, yep, NetherRealm Studios hypocrisy at its finest. And then Trevor Anthony, who we disagree strongly, Trevor and I, on Mortal Kombat 11. He's okay with it. He likes the new Sindel. I quite obviously don't. But as I said in a comment to him, and as I will say here, Trevor is entitled to his opinions. We don't have to agree to have a conversation. So, that's his opinion, right? I have mine, he has his, that's okay. Doesn't mean that we can't talk. But anyway, Trevor Anthony writes, who cares about sex appeal in a video game when the gameplay is good? And then I responded to him, I'm not going to read my response because of the fact that it touches on several things. And I want to focus particularly on the part about sex appeal in a video game, right? That's what this video is about. Sex appeal in video games. So I want to focus more on that part, and that's why I'm not reading my response to him. But if you want to see my response to him, you can just go check out the video. I'll leave a link in the description. So I actually think Trevor brings up a good point. Why do we need sex appeal in video games? Here's my focused response to that. We need sex appeal in video games because, first of all, it's appealing. And most people are sexual beings, right? And second, it's part of the overall just appeal of anything. I don't think you'll find much in the world in any entertainment media where there isn't some sort of beauty or sex appeal. Second of all, sex appeal, when, how do I put it? When not overdone, I guess you could say, because it depends on the audience, depends on the content, the context. There's a lot that goes into it, right? But when sex appeal is approached in a healthy way, right? It's perfectly healthy and empowering, right? Beauty is not a bad thing. Sex in and of itself is not a bad thing, and sex appeal in and of itself is not a bad thing. And there are plenty of things that can be sexually appealing to someone, right? We tend to think of sex appeal as just, oh, if you have, one moment. Excuse me, sorry. Had to go attend to something. Life in the city. But anyway, as I was saying, I don't think sex appeal in and of itself is a bad thing, right? It's part of human nature and the human condition. Plus, sex appeal, we tend to think of sex appeal as just showing skin, right? But it's more than that, in my opinion. Sex appeal is more than that. First of all, sex appeal is very subjective in nature, right? Someone can show all the skin and you may not find them sexually appealing at all. Someone can be covered up and you may find that, whether it's the way the clothes fit or their smile or whatever it is, that they are just the hottest person you've ever seen in your life, and they're not showing any skin, right? So sex appeals are many things. Sex appeal is confidence. Sex appeal is intelligence. Sex appeal is style. Sex appeal is good health and strength, right? It's a display of power. And here's the thing: sex appeal has different looks to it, right? There's the tough guy. There's the bad girl. There's the good girl. You know, there's the innocent girl. There are so many different types, right? For example, a lot of people. I'll use video games as an example, right? Characters, for example, people find Ivy from the Soul Calibur series sexy. People find Taki sexy. People find Sophitia sexy. People find Sonya sexy. People find Kitana and Melina and Sindel sexy. People also find Chun-Li sexy. People find Ryu and Ken sexy. People find Johnny Cage sexy. Excuse me, my neck. People find Terry Bogard sexy, right? There have been like literal lists in history of, like, you know, the hottest girls in video games or the hottest men in video games. Because guess what? Sex appeal is appealing. Sex appeal is interesting to us. People like to look at attractive people, and what makes a person attractive is usually a combination of a great many things. Just think about the people you have been attracted to, whether it's actors or actresses or, you know, ex-lovers you've had in your life, whether it's your husband, your wife, your exes, whatever it is, right? There was no doubt something or a few things that you found sexually appealing about them. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been your lover, right? If there wasn't a sexual attraction and component to it, right? So, sex appeal, in my opinion, is not bad. Now, of course, there's a difference between sex appeal and, say, sex sells. Because in my opinion, sex sells is when you present a character in a sexual and oftentimes over-sexualized way to get people's attention and to buy the product. It's marketing. Take, for example, Tomb Raider, right? Tomb Raider was marketed with a sex sells approach because Lara is very attractive. You really can't get around that. But the character in herself in the games, while very sexy, of course, they have to do stuff outside while I'm recording. But anyway, the character herself, while not uber sexualized, right? Her outfit wasn't all that immodest, right? It's just boy shorts and a shirt. She wasn't really showing anything indecent, in my opinion, right? Especially if you look at the graphics from like the mid-1990s, right? The biggest thing was that she had a big chest, and that, you know, got people to notice, right? But even I remember reading an article, and I think I mentioned it in the Melanie Mac video I did of earlier this year. The creators behind Lara, right? The people who actually drew her weren't really trying to make her a sex bot. They were trying to make her an action hero. She was meant to be in the vein of this, 1990s, 1980s, adventure action hero type of a character, right? And it was more of, okay, well, how do we do that? How do we show that she's aggressive and all this stuff? Well, you give her a big chest, just like you do with men in the same way, right? You give them a big, strong chest to show off visually that they're strong. And they just did the same with Lara. Now, of course, people found her sexy. She's a very sexy character because she's strong, she's aggressive, she goes after what she wants, and those signs of strength, those signs of power, right, are sexually appealing to a lot of people. That's just human nature. Humans find power sexy. Humans find strength sexy. And when you have characters, be they real or imagined, who physically embody or display these things, yes, your head's going to turn. Right? But there's nothing inherently bad, in my opinion, in that. Now, can it be taken too far? Of course it can. Anything can be taken too far. But so long as you don't take it too far, it's just a healthy display of human nature. Another thing I notice is that these type of criticisms, right? Why does a game need sex appeal? Tends to come with games where the rating is an M rating. For example, Mortal Kombat is an M rated game, right? There was the whole thing about Iroha a few weeks back, a week or two ago, in Samsho. Samsho is an M rated game, right? You would think it would be these type of titles where, if the developers choose to, if it makes sense for the work, where you could go a little crazy with the sex appeal and the sexy visual displays. Yet it seems to be these type of games, these M-rated games, that keep receiving this type of criticism. I can understand it more if you try to take a character like, say, Iroha and put her in Smash Brothers. I can understand people going, hey, that's a bit too far, right? Because Smash Brothers, from its visual art to the characters it features, tends to be more on the kiddie side, right? It's like the Overwatch of fighting games, at least to me. Now, I don't think it's a bad fighting game, it just doesn't appeal to me because I just find it too... It's more like a party game, in my opinion, than it is a fighting game, but that's fine. But here's the thing, even Smash Brothers works on sex appeal. And if you're going, huh? I have 3 words for you. Zero Suit Samus. That's all I have to say. And other characters, no doubt, but Zero Suit Samus. There's a reason why she was put in the game in that costume. But anyhow, so I don't think that sex appeal is bad. I think actually that sex appeal is necessary in most cases. Now, you cannot control what people find sexy or not sexy, right? But it should be there because it's part of the human condition. Now, whether you ramp it up or you tone it down, it depends on your audience, it depends on the game and the content, and yes, it can be taken too far at times. A perfect example is Stripper Cop Sonya in Mortal Kombat 9. That was an awful costume, in my opinion. Never should have been her main costume. That was my issue with it mainly. Had it been like a Halloween, there we go, DLC, I would have said, okay, this is silly, but I could accept it because it's an alt, right? Whatever costume is the main costume for a character, that's how the developers want you to see this person, right? That's the look that they want to be etched in your mind. So when they did that to a Sonya and MK9, I was like, oh, hell no. Sonya isn't a stripper. She's a military woman. Why would she dress like this? Especially when she's supposed to be on a mission. Right, so that's a perfect example of it going too far. But just because they messed up that one time with her doesn't all of a sudden mean that sex appeal needs to be stripped from the games, right? Or that you cannot present Sonya in a very appealing and even sexy way without showing skin. I mean, let me tell you a perfect example. Although this comes from music, and you may need to be a certain age to know what I'm talking about. There was this song that came out when I was a little kid. A lot of songs came out when I was a little kid. They were very sexual in nature, but this one was sexy despite being not about sex, right? And the song is Black Velvet, right, by Alana Miles. It's this bluesy song, right? How does it go? Always one more, he'll leave you longing for black velvet and that little boy's smile. That one, right? That song, in my opinion, is sexy as all get out. And it's not even about sex. It's about Elvis, who of course was a sex icon in his own right for his day. But the song itself is not talking about sex. The video itself, and I've seen the video several times, is not all that sexual, but it's incredibly sexy. Why? Because the singer herself, right, is very good looking. And even though she's not really showing any skin in the video, right? The most skin she shows is probably during the solo, where it shows her in concert, and she has like the biker chick look going. That's about it, right? She's not falling out of her top. She's not strutting around in hot pants, but she's dressed head to toe in black leather, and that's hot. Just simple. It's hot. Leather's always made people look good. But the reason I bring it up is because many people find that song to be one of the sexiest songs recorded, and it's not about sex, right? But it's bluesy. She has this very raspy voice. It works. It's very sexually appealing. And then there's the video itself. While she's not dressed in any overtly sexual manner, the way she is dressed, right? The jeans with the stirrups, very 1990s. Right? A lot of people find it sexy. And so it's remembered, at least by fans of the song and maybe, people who grew up in that era, as being a very sexy song and a pretty sexy video, despite the fact that there's no displays of sex or overt sexual actions in the video or in the song itself. It's just a song about Elvis and how he died too early. But I can only imagine how many people have come into the world because of that song. I'll just put it that way. I'll leave a link in the description for anybody who doesn't know the song, or for those who just want to go down memory lane. It's one of my favorites. But there's a perfect example of being very sexy without being overtly sexual, right? Or another one, for me anyway, I find the song I Hate Myself for Loving You to be very sexy, right? It's hard rocking, it's driving and everything. But if you look at Joan Jett in that video, she's not showing any skin. She's literally dressed head to toe in leather. But it's still a very good looking and interesting video. So you don't have to show skin to still be perceived as sexy. So there's that. And the last thing I want to touch upon is the fact that when you try to take sex appeal off the table as a design, what you do is that you limit yourself, right? Because now you limit how interesting or appealing a character can look. And if you can take a look at modern day movies for this, right? There seems to be this thing in Hollywood right now, in particular with female actresses and female characters, where they tone down the inherent femininity that the actress has, right? They go with actresses who are, tall, slim, they have straight brown hair, right? Think of like Daisy Ridley, Emma Watson, those types, right? Who aren't exactly, busting out at the seams when it comes to the curves and everything, right? And then they get these roles where the inherent sensuality of the female form is toned down even more. This creates, in my opinion, it just kills creativity, because now you cannot appeal to the senses. Because if you do anything that would make the character stand out, right? Now all of a sudden especially if you're a guy, right? You are accused of being a sexist or being a misogynist. Say that a man, for example, wants to create a motherly character, right? All right. So let's say because he's trying to idealize her, right? This mother character, mother figure. Think of like Storm or Hinata from Naruto, right? A popular thing to do in media across different cultures is that if you have a character who's a mother or is motherly, you give her a very womanly, shapely figure, right? Because of the mother goddess idea, right? You know, women give birth, right? That's at our hips and everything. So you give her wide hips, you give her a full chest, right? To show that, hey, she's a mom, she has kids, she's a woman. But if you do that, at least in Western media today, and you're a guy, you get immediately accused of being a sexist. When your intent may not have been overtly sexual at all. You were just trying to create an idealized image of a woman who has given birth. And as many women who have given birth can tell you, yeah, your body does change when you have kids. Right? So you just have someone trying to create an idealized mother figure visually, and then you have him being accused of being a sexist when it's actually the furthest thing from it. And you just kill creativity that way. That's why you end up getting these characters like, say, what was her name? Cassandra, I think, in Odyssey. I hated that design. Not because it wasn't bursting at the seams, that wasn't the issue. But she looked like every other girl I've seen recently in media. I'm like, oh God, can we switch it up, please? Nothing stands out about her. But when you're more concerned about whether or not your art is going to be viewed as sexist or misogynist, and when you're more concerned about realism and respect to women, as Steve Baran said, what happens is you kill creativity. You kill visual narrative and visual design. And given that I'm a very narratively driven person, well, that makes it less fun for me. And that's not even getting into how NetherRealm apparently thinks now that if a woman is sexy, right? If she's overtly sexy, she must be evil. I mean, that's what I take from their depiction of Sindel and other the few villainous characters that they have. They tend to have this theme of looking very sexy and womanly, but being evil. Another one, for example, is Cetrion. Right? Cetrion's got curves, right? Because she's a nature goddess, and she's also evil, right? So what are you trying to tell us, NetherRealm? What are you trying to tell us? Okay, but in closing, I don't know why I keep saying clothing. This whole TH thing, weird. Anyway, in closing, I'd like to say that, yeah, we actually do need to bring sex appeal back. Especially in M-rated titles, which you would think would be the playground for such a thing. There's nothing wrong with sex appeal. It's part of overall appeal. Because I know that when I play video games, unless it makes sense for the story of the character, I don't want to look at an ugly person. I don't want to look at a bust up person. I want to look at a person who either looks good or looks cool. Let's see. Let's say that if you give me a choice, I will choose Hot Ryu over, say, Bob any day of the week. Right? Or what's his name? Rufus? Yeah. I'll definitely choose Ryu over Rufus every time. One appeals to my senses, the other does not. I'm not saying that you can't have rough as light characters, but just don't get upset if people find Ryu and Ken, at least before they ruined Ken in Street Fighter V. Dear God, what did they do to him? But don't be upset if people on a visual scale uh, choose Ryu and Ken over the roly-poly man. But anyway, that's the video. Please let me know what you think, and I will see you all in the next one. And I also want to thank Trevor for his comment, because even though I disagree with it, it did give me something to think on and to do a video about. So thank you, Trevor. This video is dedicated to you, even though we happen to strongly disagree on the topic. Anyhow, have a good day, everybody.